Welcome to the Saturday Morning Nerd Show. I'm your host, Marcus Blake, and joined with me from the Electric Jellyfish podcast is Mr. Chad Womack.
Joining you from underwater. How you doing, guys?
And we got Mr. Jimmy Alford, who's taking a break from all of his wood projects.
What up, nerds?
So
wood. Said wood.
He said wood.
Right, we're not starting the show off dirty. It's not as dirty as it sounds. He's just
That's a first. That's the first time for everything.
So you're saying we're taking the quality down?
Anyway, we figured we would do a wrap up of summer blockbusters, movies that came out in May all the way through where we are in August at the time of this recording. We're going to dive into some of our favorites, and we're going to have a real conversation, not a fanboy conversation about Superman, because some of y'all need to have this conversation, or need to be told the truth that it's not that great of a movie, and also told to calm the fuck down about this being the greatest Superman movie ever since Christopher Reeve's movies. But we'll get to that in a minute. Before we get started, we wanted to do a couple of things. First, at the time of this recording, the day that we recorded it, we want to say rest in peace and a fond farewell and our condolences to Terrence Stamp, who played General Zod in the original Superman movie, who passed away as of today at the time of the recording.
Also, Chancellor Valorum. We can't leave that out in episode 1. So
that's right.
He's deeply entrenched in geekdom.
Yeah.
He was also in the Val Kilmer Mars movie.
Mission to Mars.
Mission to Mars. Yeah, he was the religious representative to Mars in that movie.
Yes.
Wasn't he the guy that all the young guns worked for, and that's why they became?
Yes.
That's why they went nuts?
He was the father figure of the regulators.
Right.
So,
on a more personal note for me, he was originally cast as the original bad guy in Prince's follow-up to Purple Rain, Under the Cherry Moon, that Stephen Burkoff took the role over for.
Really?
Yes, yes. Terrence Stamp was cast in the role of Isaac Sharon.
Man, fun fact, I did not know about him. So
I'm here to help.
Probably one of my favorite and best movies he ever did, The Limey.
Absolutely.
Big movie. Big departure from some of the things, but we had seen him in and great and everything.
I saw in the bylines, they kept saying he was Oscar nominated. What film was he nominated for an Oscar for? That one?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I know they said he made his mainstream debut in a film called Billy Budd, which I've never seen. Maybe it was that. I really don't know what he was Oscar nominated.
Here's the thing. He was one of those actors that kind of came up with Michael Caine and everybody at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was even kind of in the running to, they were looking excuse me, at him to replace Sean Connery as James Bond. He was one of those, but he also took like a 10-year sabbatical from acting and went to India for a long time. And his first movie
That's it. It's Billy Budd that he got nominated for. Billy Budd in 1962.
Okay, excuse me. But his first movie after his acting sabbatical was Superman. So
not a bad comeback.
No, not a bad comeback at all.
He was nominated for a BAFTA for The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I forgot he was in that.
Yeah,
with Guy Pearce and.
By the way, for everybody that loves The Birdcage, and it's a great movie. I mean, Nathan Lane, Robin Williams. I mean, Gene Hackman kind of playing the straight conservative center. There's a lot to love about that movie. It's off the wall, just hilarious. I would also say that if for anything related to drag, you've got to watch Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Oh, Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving was the third one in that trio.
As a very young Hugo Weaving, Guy Pearce, and Terrence Stamp.
We got Elrond and General Zod in drag.
Hold on. I got on IMDb. I did not remember he was actually Jor-El, the voice in Smallville.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
So he did a lot of Superman parts. So there you go.
I think we can officially say that he was a Superman legend.
Yes.
So,
he was in Wanted. I forgot. He was in Wanted.
The Angelina Jolie thing?
Yep.
Oh, that's right. He's the guy that is telling the main character about how the organization might be evil. So he has
Yep.
to figure it out. Yes, I forgot about that. Uh,
According to his IMDb credits, upcoming roles: Priscilla, Queen of the Desert 2. He's listed as Bernadette
no,
in
no,
an
no. Yeah,
upcoming.
no, they were making a sequel to that.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. So one of my favorite roles of his is just off the wall. Bowfinger with Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy.
Oh my God.
That movie is so fucking hysterical. But he plays the cult leader of the mind hat, what the mind meld, mind head group that where you wear like the triangle hats.
My God. Jesus, I had no freaking clue.
Yeah, that was one of those movies that I kind of rediscovered during the pandemic. Like I hadn't seen it in 20 years and forgot how funny it is.
Oh, wait a minute. You said Mission to Mars. No, he was in that other Mars movie,
Red Planet.
Red Planet
I
is
was
what he
gonna
was in.
I was waiting for a pause. I didn't want to interrupt, but it's called Red Planet.
Wait a minute, which one is Mission to Mars?
That's
That's
the
the
one.
one with Gary Sinise.
You're right. And Trinity,
Yes.
Carrie Ann Moss.
No,
Mhm.
she's in this one. It's Val
No,
Kilmer,
she's in Red
Carrie
Planet.
Ann Moss, Tom
All
Sizemore,
right,
Benjamin Bratt, Terrence Stamp.
I don't
There-
remember who's
okay. The problem is there was like 4 or 5 different
Right.
Mars movies. They all came out like in the early 2000s. Red Planet's the one with Val Kilmer and and Stamp and
Carrie
oh
Ann Moss.
yeah, Moss.
Can we just at this point put to rest that the best movie related to Mars is The Martian with Matt Damon, and there isn't really anything to go. I mean,
There's really nothing close. I mean,
No.
the fact that he's like, he's the first colonist on Mars because he farmed. He's also a pirate on Mars, and he just the fact that they kept the humor a little light, but it was still serious, made it such a great movie.
no,
Gonna science the shit out of this.
I'm right. No, that's a great movie. So, quick.
They could have gone the opposite way and been like super like over dramatic. And I think it would have. I think it would not have been. It would probably still been good because Matt Damon is Matt Damon.
Right.
But I feel like it wouldn't have been nearly as memorable or enjoyable or rewatchable.
Yeah. Funny story about that movie when they did the press screening. Chloe and I did it together, and it was so good. It was one of those that they were going to have 2 press screenings, and both of us. I asked if we could go see it again, and both of us showed up to watch it again because we loved it so much. And one of the publicists was just like, "Wait, didn't you see this like last week?" Yeah, but we need to see it again for our review. But I mean, I've done that with certain movies. The Highwaymen movie on Netflix, they had like 3 or 4 press screenings because it came out like 6 weeks after South by, and I think I went to 3 of them. They were just like, "Why are you here?" Like, because that's an awesome movie. I mean,
I think we went to 2 press screenings of Hot Tub Time Machine, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, that's
just appropriate.
I mean,
Because really, you just went to one. You just appeared twice.
yeah. I paradoxed I scienced the shit out of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but
You
yeah,
became your own grandfather. And
Saw my own grandpa. Yeah.
anyway, very sad news about Terrence Stamp. If you're not familiar with his other work, now's a good time to go back and watch it. And I'm glad you brought up Smallville because I've been binge watching that again since seeing the Superman movie last month. I've been wanting to really go back and dive in. And I'm even watching some of the crappy episodes just to rewatch it and all that. And I will say this about Smallville. There's a lot of great stories that came out of that. Despite Allison Mack joining a sex cult and being number 2 and branding people, she's still hot and wonderful in that series. And I still think Michael Rosenbaum is probably the best Lex Luthor just because of his character arc in that series. Nothing against Gene Hackman. I'm just saying, for my personal taste, I really love Michael Rosenbaum. But anyway, we'll talk about Superman in a little bit. All right, so In case you are wondering and you haven't caught up on everything, a little bit of news by the time you watch this recording. You'll be 1 week away from Thunderbolts hitting Disney Plus. So if you were still on the fence about paying money to go see that movie and then you're just not going to rent it online, you will be able to see it free on Disney Plus starting August 27th. And it is worth watching. I will say this real quick about this movie as we talk about summer movies. It felt a lot like the old magic was back with Marvel. It felt like a movie we would have seen, 10, 12 years ago. Um, Even though it's basically a Suicide Squad movie within the Marvel Universe. But it was still kind of fun and worth watching. I think I ended up giving that movie a 7, which these days makes a Marvel movie great.
That's the bar now.
I know. But yeah, just the way it's going to connect to Phase 6 and the Fantastic Four movie. Sorry, a little bit of a spoiler. The credit scene in Thunderbolts is the Fantastic Four crossing into their multiverse or their universe. That's going to help set up, Doomsday and all of that stuff. But yes, please check it out. It's just a fun movie, and one of the better ones that Marvel has come out with in the last 10 years. So, but anyway, that's enough about that movie. We have plenty of other movies to talk about during the summer. All right. A little bit of this week's Sign of the Apocalypse from the gaming world. I know it's a shock to some of you out there, but Madden 26, the new Madden, did not suck, and it's actually worth buying. And I can't believe I'm saying that. So I'm going to preface it, my quick little review of this. About every 5 years, Madden really reinvents itself. Like it's so far removed from previous copies. Like they've really put a lot of love into it and made it better. And it was probably 2020. It was the first year that Patrick Mahomes was on there, and they brought back the little inside story where you're the high school recruit, who rode the bench for 4 or 5 years or whatever, and in your last year you get through. There was like maybe 8 colleges you could choose from, and then you get recruited and then drafted and all this, which made it fun. Like you got to play in the college playoffs. But it was really the first one where they had ironed out all the bugs about being on the Frostbite engine. But it still hadn't completely crossed over graphics-wise to like the new consoles, because it was really the last official Madden copy that was on the last gen, PS4 and Xbox One. And while the graphics have been kind of superior and they've improved on Ultimate Game and whatnot, the overall gameplay, it hasn't been so drastically different to where it challenges you, to where the physics of the game, where one little touch can knock the ball out of your hands, aggressive catch doesn't work. It's what Madden should feel like. It's like what we should get every couple of years. So I was pleasantly surprised, because the way that I review any sports game is EA gives you a 10-hour trial. And I can usually do enough within that 10 hours to evaluate whether that particular version of the whatever sports game is worth buying, or you wait till it hits, it's a discounted game around the holidays, which for Madden, that's been the best way to buy Madden over the last, 5 years. But this year, I've been actually fairly impressed. I'm not saying it's the greatest Madden game ever, but it's definitely the best one since they went to the Frostbite engine, and the best game in 5 years with the gameplay and the physics. It feels more and more like football, and also it is the very first version of Madden that is strictly made for the next gen console. So you can't play this version on Xbox One or PS4 anymore. So I was shocked. I couldn't believe it, because I didn't think I would actually buy a copy. I can pretty much finish a season and go to the Super Bowl with, 3 or 4 minute quarters within 10 hours, and get my fill. And this one, I was like, wow, this is challenging. Like I actually had to play preseason to get used to the game. And so after about putting 10 hours into playing the game and trying it and learning playbooks and getting used to it, I'm like, maybe this is actually worth the $60 or nearly 70. And I ended up buying it because now I actually really want to play Madden. Unlike past years where like, just wait till it hits Game Pass where it's, free. So it's a sign of the apocalypse. Madden has improved to where it's worth buying at full price. Wow, we are not taking calls.
Guarantee the hell out of it.
This is not radio.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Sorry about that, folks.
No. Okay. So here's the deal. You want to know what my bar is on video games right now? My bar on video games is this. I paid $60 for Overwatch when it first came out, and I have 6,000 hours in the original Overwatch. Can you say that for 65, 70 bucks that you're going to put 6,000 hours into Madden?
No, you will.
Then it's a loss for me.
No,
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, but two completely, different games. I mean, I would put a lot of things like that into FIFA or NHL. As much as I play NHL, it's worth spending $60, $70 every year. I generally don't because I'll wait a little bit. They don't make that many. NHL is the last game from EA to really get any mass improvements. It was the last game to go to the Frostbite engine and to where the gameplay was different. And, the gameplay between 24 and 25 was a big difference. 25 was more challenging. I don't anticipate 26 to be that much different from 25. So I'm like, by the time I get around to buying it, I will have finished out like my second playoff run or second season type of thing. I mean, if any of you guys see, you guys can pretty much, you don't even have to log on to PlayStation and see me playing. You, without a doubt, pretty much know when I'm playing on PlayStation. So,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Madden is this year is one of those games. Like I feel like I'm going to do a whole lot more with. And it was worth paying that price. I feel like I will put enough hours into it. But 6,000 hours? No, I mean that's just
I know crazy talk, right?
Yeah,
crazy talk. I did have a question. This is a follow-up to a previous show we did, and it's for Chad. Chad, now that you've lived with the Switch 2 for a while, do you still have the warm and fuzzies?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Yes, I do very much.
I'm gonna jump on and with an answer to that question because I did end up breaking down and buying the Switch 2.
He joined us.
I did. Do I think it is worth the money? No. However, is it a vast improvement over the first Switch? Yes. In a lot of ways, graphics, gameplay, the newer versions, like the Switch 2 versions of games are great. I think the graphics are greatly improved on Switch 1 games. I probably should have waited around the holidays to actually break down and get it. But, playing the Switch 2 version of Tears of the Sun, I'm sorry, not Tears of the Sun, Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Tears of the Sun, you get to play Bruce Willis.
The Navy SEAL. Like,
I didn't realize I got a game.
It actually would be a good game, I think,
Yeah.
Be good.
But I started that over on Switch 2, and I mean, it's a lot of fun. And the new Mario Kart open world, again, a lot of fun. And you can buy third-party steering wheels pretty cheap off Amazon.
So a lot of people were complaining about Mario Kart being like one of the main games. Just like, how much better can Mario Kart be, especially even in open world? Is the open world worth it? I mean, like, is it good?
I think so.
I think it's a blast.
Yeah. If you're a Mario Kart fan, and then you have been since the 64, then yeah, this is totally worth getting. But I mean, that's the thing about the Switch. You need to get it with Mario Kart World. you need to spend the extra $50.
And this
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Bonanza is fantastic.
You know what? Been having a lot of fun with that too. Because I literally bought the week that game came out is when I bought my Switch 2. So, but if you're still on the fence and you're not really ready to shell out $500 for a console and all that, yeah, definitely wait a couple of months until the holidays.
Oh, no, I have a plan. I have a plan because they released this with not the best screen they could have. So I personally believe they're going to do what they did with the last one and release a better version. And I am fully willing to buy y'all's copies when you decide to get the next Switch for like $250. That this is my plan.
Well, but the OLED never had any appeal to me. It really didn't, because I play the console in docked mode more than I play it anything. I really don't do handheld all that much. So
that's how I looked at it too. Is it hasn't really left the dock. I was just more excited to get it because with the gaming company and from a tournament console standpoint, and now have 3 Switches with multiple games to be able to do tournaments. So like next year at Alcon, the game room is going to be even more sick than it was.
Yeah, it's going to be hopping. It's going to be hopping.
Yeah, we don't need to bring extra. And, there's a special going on at GameStop right now where if you buy 2 pre-owned games, you get 1 free. So that's a great opportunity. If you have a pro account, that's a great opportunity to take advantage of Switch games. So I spent a couple $100 and got multiple copies of Smash Bros. And Mario Kart and all that to fill out all of the extra stuff and to get some extra games for me personally. So that's my only complaint is I don't think it's worth $500 with the lack of games and all that. I think it will be. And I think if you are a diehard Nintendo fan, then yes, you need to eventually get one. And the fact that you can still play Switch 1 games on it and it improves the graphics, that's great.
Doesn't just improve the graphics. I mean, it improves the load times. Like I know that the last 2 Mortal Kombat games, the last 2 mainline Mortal Kombat games, were atrocious on the Switch, and they run smooth as glass on the Switch 2. There are several games that just got, what do they call it, quality of life enhancements, so to speak. A ton of them just across the board are just better playing games on the Switch 2 than they were.
Yeah, I agree. So I mean, it definitely improved, just like the PS5 improved gameplay on PS4 games. That's what the Switch 2 does for Switch 1 games.
Definitely.
But I like Jimmy's plan too. When people need to go to like the better versions, I will get your version at a cheaper price and that makes sense. If it's always going to be hooked up to your TV and it's never going to be a handheld, then what's the point?
Or pissed off soon-to-be ex-wives. I'm always looking for that on Facebook Marketplace as well. I'm looking for the spite sale. That's there should be a special section. I'm looking. I'm here for it.
There really should be a special section on Facebook Marketplace for that sort of thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy is what we call an opportunist.
Yeah. By the way, I will share this with you. When I was trying to upgrade consoles, I did put an ad out that I will buy it. And I literally put in the description, if you are a pissed off wife and you're selling your boyfriend or your husband's gaming electronics because he cheated on you, I will buy them cheap. I had 1 message, and I did take advantage of that.
Jeez.
Hey, you cheat, that's just in my favor.
Okay. I also want to put a poster up on like the Denton County Sheriff's website. Just like a little ad that says, "I'll buy your console," to give you bail money. It's a new version of bail bondsman.
Oh, hey, I've done that too. One of my new.
Oh, you've done that on more than one occasion, if I'm not mistaken.
There's a few of my consoles that have been bought because they had to either pay a fine or
bail money.
Bail money. It's been great.
You had a couple of PlayStations that way, didn't you?
I did. And I upgraded Omri too this past week. And a similar deal. There was a guy who, well, it wasn't bail money. He just needed rent money, but he, had to sell it cheap. And I'm like, and he lived 2 miles from my house. So it made it great. Anyway, things you can do on Facebook Marketplace.
The more you know.
Exactly. So anyway,
Knowing is half the battle, yo, Joe.
we'll be definitely talking more about Nintendo later this year, as again, it is the 40th anniversary of the release of the actual Nintendo, not the Famicom, but the actual Nintendo Entertainment System.
And the 40th anniversary of Mario. That's the big push right
now. I know. So definitely going to be talking about that. But yes, for you Madden fans out there that are still kind of on the fence like most of us are, do I waste the money on it? I would actually say yes. I'm actually giving this Madden about an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, because the other ones have been just like, yeah, whatever. You're cheap. All right, moving right along. So we got 2 main topics today that we wanted to talk about. The first one being all of our favorite summer blockbusters this year. Also, kind of how it's been a little bit lackluster in some areas. But with us closing out the summer as film fans, we would be remiss if we didn't jump and actually talk about the 50th anniversary of Jaws and its impact on movies. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later and share some stories regarding that movie. All right. So I feel like we got to get to the big movie of the summer that everybody, was waiting for. This life-changing superhero movie that was going to rival Marvel, Superman. Okay. We haven't really talked about this movie. I did my review and also got an email from a couple of publicists and studios regarding my non-fanboy review because I called it out for what it is. So here's the thing. We're nerds. It's not a great movie. Am I wrong, Chad?
No.
Yeah.
Not in my opinion, anyway.
No.
For whatever that's worth.
Yeah. We're not saying it's not a fun movie. We're not saying that you shouldn't watch it. But to put it on this pedestal that it's the greatest Superman movie since Superman 1 and 2, some of y'all are fanboys and you just hate Zack Snyder and don't understand storytelling.
Well, put it this way, my wife, who is, not the comic book dorks that we are, said that she thought it was the worst Superman film she'd ever seen.
Wow.
And we lived through Superman 3 and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. So,
and
is that the one where he flew around backwards to turn back time?
No, that was the first one.
That was the first one. But I mean,
and the Donner cut of 2, he actually did there too.
Yeah. So there is also Superman Returns, which is the greatest Superman fan film ever made.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to say that, wow, okay.
Yeah, hot. So that was the hot take for the week.
Now, hear me out. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard so many people talking about this movie, and in a positive way. And you know what the number one thing that I've heard people say about the movie is that they finally get a superhero movie that's not Marvel and it's not just dark.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
Whether you hate Zack Snyder or not, I'm not going to go into that for personal reasons, but the fact is that a lot of people enjoy it just because it's just not so freaking moody.
Right. And here's the thing. Really what my biggest complaint about the movie was the storytelling itself. I don't mind it being more lighthearted, closer to the comics and all that. I didn't even mind the look of the movie, mind the uniform or anything like that. So before I even complain about this movie, I do want to say that I think David Corenswet knocked it out of the park as Clark Kent / Superman. He was great. I think Rachel Brosnan is fantastic as Lois Lane. She is the best Lois Lane since.
Yeah, I was about to say, arguably the best Lois Lane we've had.
Right, and I love Erica Durance on Smallville. The problem is not your casting, except for one thing. I did not like Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor.
Nor did I.
Love him as an actor. A friend of we're in the Dallas market, so an actress that we know that's in this market, a friend of the show, Giovanni Cruz, who has a few lines in the movie. She plays one of Luther Corp's, computer science geeks or whatever. I was giving her a hard time that I kept watching the movie and I was just waiting for her to walk over and bitch slap him. He was so annoying. And he just, it's like that point, like, he's a bit of a psychopath, but it's like he went full psychopath to where I'm like, are you about to be, the Joker in basically the reimagining of Taxi Driver here? I don't know what you're doing here. We've had Lex Luthors that they're a bit psychotic and they tiptoe around that line, but they don't go full psychotic. Okay, Gene Hackman do it, and Jesse Eisenberg didn't really do that.
I don't know about all that.
Well,
Okay.
he wasn't as bad as what Nicholas Hoult was doing. That's my point.
Ding, 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 ding. The red capes are coming. Ding, 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 ding. The
I'm
red
not saying
shut
you
up.
didn't go crazy.
Shut the fuck.
Okay, so here's my thing about Nicholas Hoult and Eisenberg. To be the arch nemesis villain and everything, they're not. I don't know how big of a people they actually are in real life. I don't know. They could be 6'5". I don't know. They don't look like it. They're very thin. They're not imposing. And I know that they're supposed to be the master, Lex Luthor is the mastermind, but if the Superman, the animated series, which was awesome, Lex Luthor, powerful black man, basically, for the most part. And, Gene Hackman, he's a big dude, or was a big dude.
Yeah, he's like
he's an
6'4".
imposing person. Even in the comic books, Lex Luthor was about the same size and similar build as Superman. I mean, books only. And I feel like giving them the skinny white boy treatment to Lex Luthor is kind of, I think it portrays the expectations of the audience a little bit.
I mean, I think there's just definitely better people out there that could have been, a better Lex Luthor. I get that you kind of also want to make him young, like a young tech wizard. That way he can keep coming back and back, for more and more. Obviously, we haven't seen the last of him. But I'm sorry, are we not going to revisit what could be the perfect casting for Lex Luthor in Bryan Cranston? Because no one, I mean, and if you
or get the guy that did his voice in the animated series.
Very true.
Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Kurgan, for Christ's sakes. I mean,
what?
Jesus.
If you think Bryan Cranston can't do it, you clearly need to go watch Breaking Bad.
Yes, no shit. But turning that on its head when you're talking about the skinny white boy, Rosenbaum pulled it off in Smallville.
Right.
But Holt can't. Holt,
They're
you
supposed
don't
to be
buy
really
Holt.
young.
Yeah.
That's the thing. In the movie, you don't have to have that expectation. In Smallville, they're all like teenagers.
Yeah.
We get that. But they're full-blown adults in the movie.
But I'll say this about the Superman movie. I feel like James Gunn, which I said in my review, was just trying to do another version of Guardians of the Galaxy, but in the DC world, because that's what he was used to. That's a formula that worked, and that's fine. If you want to give the beginnings of the Justice League or the Justice League of Society, whatever you're calling them in your universe, I like the little throwback in the outside of the building and all that. I mean, it's a very comic book movie. A
lot of fan service.
Right, and that's fine. But I think you also have to tell a good story, and I think James Gunn was just throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah.
Comics, seeing what was going to stick, give a lot of fan service, and say the story doesn't matter that much. And I think you're wrong.
And like this script was like watching two old people fuck. It was just sloppy and all over the damn place.
Yeah.
I was like, it just meandered every. You okay over there, Jimmy?
No, I'm having a stroke.
I'm sorry.
As old people
was that too blunt?
fuck. Okay.
Monkey wrench. I'm sorry.
So I get that you don't want to tell Superman's origin story. Fine. You could also quickly do it in flashbacks, here and there. I mean, the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk movie did it brilliantly during the opening credits, where they did the quick flashbacks, news articles, and then we pick up where he is. Fine. I'm not opposed to the way they did it, but we're supposed to accept, okay, well, here's this world. The world already knows about Superman. Oh, Lois and him are already dating, and he and the Justice League guys, Guy Gardner and all them already know him, and they were great. Nathan Fillion, despite that ridiculous haircut, was great.
It was kind
Guy
of
Gardner's
accurate.
haircut, though. Yeah, it's very accurate.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and you should, by the way, side note, you need a deep dive into that particular Green Lantern's backstory. It will mess you up.
Yeah.
Because it's the most messed up Green Lantern backstory ever.
Right.
The most messed up Green Lantern.
Well, no. It is ridiculously messed up. But anyway,
But I think the biggest problem is you don't want to have this origin story. You don't want to do it. You don't want to waste it. Okay, great. But if you're going to show Ma and Pa Kent here, Jonathan and Martha Kent, you can't.
Oh God.
From West Virginia.
Oh my.
They are important characters in his life that help set Clark Kent on his path to becoming Superman. Not to mention, in every other universe, Jonathan Kent is already dead, which does affect him on his journey. While we got 5 seasons with John Schneider in Smallville, they had enough character arc that helped him set his tone. And it was at that moment that he really starts to become Superman without the uniform.
Well, wasn't Jonathan a constant presence through the Dean Cain Adventures of? Yeah, they didn't kill him off, and he was always there in the animated.
Well, I know, but I think my point is I like those stories a little bit better, where his death is and why it's important.
Right.
Well, I think they were just waiting for Kevin Costner just to go. It's okay.
But you know what? I love that scene. It's a heartbreaking moment. And I loved Diane Lane and Kevin Costner playing the parents. Whether you like them or not, I thought they were.
No, they don't bother me. That scene bothers me. Everything else is fine. That scene is stupid, but it's fine.
And makes a point.
These are the worst. These are the worst versions of the Kents.
Oh my God! Hi, Clark. We saw you made the front page of that paper. Oh my God! I was like, click, click, bah.
Not even. I mean, they didn't even sound like that in the original Superman.
No.
Movie. Glenn Ford sounded like a normal guy that offered a lot of good, fatherly advice. I forget the actor's name who was playing Jonathan Kent. It's like you gave him.
I've never seen him in anything before. I mean, I'm sure he's done things, but
he played the Catholic priest that could read and was psychic in Constantine.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But here's the deal: like, aren't they supposed to be Midwestern? I mean, isn't that like his backstory? Kansas.
They're from Kansas.
That accent. If I had, like I said, I haven't seen the movie, but that accent, Kansas.
No, I lived in Kansas.
They don't have that.
They don't have. Yeah, they don't sound like that. She was cornbread eating deep South Hicksville sound.
I feel like these are people that Raylan Givens would stumble upon in Kentucky because their building is still in their backyard.
Yeah, you hear her banjos playing when she starts talking.
Well,
like you expect to hear Marty Mouth back there. Like, yeah,
and it must have been Central or Eastern Kentucky, because Western Kentucky sounds like they're from Ohio.
They damn near are, I guess.
I hate Ohio, so I lump all those people. With the one exception, Beth and her wife. So I mean, because they're not from there, they just live there.
They just live there.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, as soon as she started talking, I looked over at Shannon. I'm like, what the fuck? What the hell is this shit?
Yeah. So
ding, 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 ding.
But I'm sorry for everybody. Nothing against the people that like this movie. Okay, great. All right. It's the Superman you've always wanted, because it's more, to the comics or whatever. You didn't like the dark and moody version of Man of Steel and all that. Fine. We each have our own taste. But I would also argue that Man of Steel had a better and more grounded story for Superman and a better villain. You can hate everything else, the story itself and the villain, and it made a lot and it made sense within that universe.
Yes,
This is just, hey, here's Superman. I'm going to throw some cool characters out there and whatever. This is not how you should have introduced Superman to your universe. But I get that you don't have time to tell the origin story. Now, with that said, and Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, I feel like it's going to be a fun universe that James is creating.
Yeah, he's got the structure is there. It's
right.
You know, it's got the bones that you can build on.
Right.
You know, it's got a good it's got a foundation you can build on. But as a standalone, it just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I'll fully admit, I mean, personally, I am looking for, like you said, I'm looking forward to other movies in the genre. I'm looking forward. I haven't seen this one yet. I do want to see it. I did read some, interviews where they were just like, it's not even that he didn't even have time to tell the origin story. He just didn't want to.
Right. Yeah.
That story's been told, like however many thousands of times. And personally, I don't hate that. I mean, how many different Spider-Man origin story movies do we need? Superman or Batman origin story, like we get it. The parents die, or Uncle Ben, Pa Kent, whoever. Someone gets it right up the poop chute, and then we get a decent superhero.
One of my favorite comedians, who's from Texas, Jason Selman, has a great joke about Spider-Man. Like Gen Z, they don't know that Spider-Man's from the comics. The only thing they know is that when they reboot it every few years, there's a new actor playing Spider-Man.
Like the James Bond of comic book films.
Right.
Yeah.
But with that said, at least Marvel did / Sony did one thing right and bring them all together in an awesome movie, because that is still one of the
that is probably my second favorite Spider-Man movie of all time.
Yeah.
Right behind Spider-Verse, the animated. I mean, like, because I'm sorry, I don't care. That movie is just my favorite. And then,
I know, I totally get it. I just the sheer fact that Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire all had this great chemistry and clearly had so much fun with each other working on set just from the bloopers. I really love that line, like, but I'm an Avenger. That's great. What is that? What is that? Like a band or something? And first of all, I love Andrew Garfield and anything he does. A friend of ours, she came to the pub after the Nobody screening and was talking with me and Daniel, Cynthia Santiago, who had a scene with Andrew Garfield in a movie that got cut. So we were talking about him, from all of these great movies that he's done, but then he's done Spider-Man and he knocks it out of the park in anything that he does, whether you like the movie or not. So, but anyway, but getting back to Superman, I just think there's a lot of fanboy reviews out there, and that's fine and whatever, but we call it what it is. It's not a great Superman movie. It's not the best Superman movie, but you've introduced a fun character in an overall universe. And I'm excited to see what James Gunn does as we get to his version of the Justice League and stuff like that. So what about you, Chad? What do you think?
I agree with you. I mean, you and I have had this conversation for a while now, and I've made my point throughout this conversation. I'm just like, yeah, I like him, I like her, but everything else just seems like it had no sense of purpose.
Right.
Like, it didn't. So much of that didn't even have a reason to exist.
No, hey, Crypto
was
just. Cool.
But I think we had a little too much of him. Yeah. I think they kind of went overboard with Crypto.
Throw a cute dog in there, people will like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I know you want to sell toys. Okay, I got it. You want your Grogu basically, and it all kind of harkens back to what. Didn't this kind of feel like a lot of that conversation that Kevin Smith had at the Q&A when he was asked to come in and do the Super? A lot of that, I was like, Superman's guards, and she go, well, we had his robots here, and they weren't fighting polar bears, and we didn't have a mechanical spider, but we did have a kaiju, so we got
Right.
close.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering the whole time. I know Kevin has done. I know he and who is it, Mark Bernardin, that do the Batman on Batman thing. I'm sure they've already gone over this at
Yeah.
length, but I've yet to watch it or listen to it. But I'm sure Kevin was probably like, "Wait a damn minute,
But
this sounds and looks awful familiar."
But here's another thing. There's so many good things too within the film that make it fun. Like we always argue about why nobody recognizes Clark Kent wearing glasses, that he's Superman. And
And they finally, we get an explanation.
they give us a
here.
plausible reason. Like, did you know about the hypno glasses? Well, she does now.
Yeah, there were moments. There were definite moments, but it just wasn't consistent. I was just like I said, old people screwing. It was just sloppy.
Okay, so I kind of look at it this way: like when we watched the first Avengers movie and even the second Avengers movie, when you bring them all together, they're fun.
Yeah.
Okay, but the one difference is everybody's origin movie was good.
Yeah.
Like whether you like that character or not, we look back now as they made really great origin movies. And Brendan and I and a friend of ours went to go see Captain America: The First Avenger. We had a great time. It was like an afternoon drinking movie. But of course, the song and dance scene went on way too long, and you're like, oh my god, if I have to hear that song. I think we're all at the point now when we rewatch that movie, we just fast forward through that part until they get to the action again. But that's a good origin story of introducing that character, the goody two shoes of the Avengers. This is just not a great way to introduce him, but we know it's going to be fun down the road.
Right.
So
it's like it's kind of like the antithesis of what Spider-Man: Homecoming was.
Yeah.
Even though that wasn't our introduction to him, it was Iron Man: Civil War when we got introduced.
Right. And
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, fun movie, but it's just a fun standalone movie that we know is introducing to his individual story that's going to be part of a bigger universe.
Yeah.
His Spider-Man is always better in a bigger universe.
Yeah.
He was great in the Infinity War movies, and Spider-Man No Way Home, he was great. So, all right. I know I'm the only one that has seen it. Chloe is not joining us for the podcast. We both did a review on the new Fantastic Four. So I will just give you a quick rundown on this. If you have not seen the movie yet, yes, it is worth seeing. It's worth seeing. They finally did get the Fantastic Four right for this universe. Great casting. It's a great way to introduce Galactus and the Silver Surfer. I will admit it is a little bit better than the first two Fantastic Four movies with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, and the one English guy's name that we can never pronounce correctly. But unless you're just a hardcore Fantastic Four fan, I still feel like it's kind of like, oh, okay, great. You're introducing these characters. I'm not saying I didn't like it. The aesthetics and how they put the movie together was a lot of fun. But you also know, I had this conversation with Chloe. So I'll ask you guys, did either one of you hate the Captain Marvel movie that introduced Brie Larson's, like, her origin story? Did you hate the movie?
No, I actually enjoyed it. And I felt like a lot of the hate that she got, I thought was really undeserved, to be honest with you.
But Chad, did you hate that movie?
I didn't hate it, but it's not something I'd go back and watch over and over again.
Right. It's not a great movie. Right? I mean, compared to a lot of the origins.
Look, personally, I thought it was okay. I liked it. Okay.
Right.
And to Chad's point, I'm not going out of my way to watch it again or anything like that, but at the end of the day, I did like it, and I never understood why it got so much hate.
Well, but my point is, it's a good enough movie to introduce her character to the overall universe. It did its job right before the Infinity War movies of why she's important. That's what this Fantastic Four movie did. As a standalone movie, unless you're a diehard fan, then you're probably not going to care as much. And I'm not. I like the Fantastic Four. Was great casting, but I also admit I really liked Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. And, I thought he did a better job than what's his face in this movie. Okay. So is this a
Are you
movie?
talking about Chris Evans, Captain America? That's who what's his face is, because that was the last Johnny Storm.
Well,
I'm just saying.
technically, okay. I liked his version of Johnny Storm better than this Johnny Storm. I am just saying that this movie does its job to introduce the Fantastic Four to the overall universe and how they're going to fight Doomsday. And the credit scene introducing Doomsday is brilliant. So
Doctor Doom or
not Doomsday, my God. Yeah, Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really crossing.
I'm like, wait, a what?
So there's this movie coming out where Marvel and DC are going to get together. They're going to have a baby, and it's going
And every comic book nerd is going to spontaneously combust.
they're going to have
Finally!
an orgasm. Like, oh my God, finally, it's the greatest thing ever.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Now that we kind of mock that, someone's going to hear this like, I think we're just like, oh my God, this is.
Oh no, HBO Time Warner is over there. Please, we need Disney money.
Right. So anyway, I think this movie is worth a matinee at the theater. I would not spend nearly $20 a ticket. Thank God. I mean, like, that was really kind of my biggest complaint was like, you got to tell me it's like between online fees, taxes, and everything else, it was like $19 for an IMAX screening. And then I felt I was even more glad that I resubscribed to A-List Stubs at AMC where that movie was free because I only paid an extra $6 for the monthly membership so I could get 4 movies a week. And I've already seen like 3 or 4 and have paid for it. But that's just a ridiculous. So don't pay that kind of money. Pay like a $6 movie ticket to go see this movie or wait till it hits Disney Plus. It is worth seeing for the overall universe. I ended up giving it a 7 because it's an okay movie.
Tuesday nights at Movie Tavern, cheap movie night. Just
Yes.
FYI, that's when we take our kids to the movies.
Yeah. Hey, we don't care if it's a school night.
No shit.
Yeah.
It's like no. Y'all can be groggy at school tomorrow. I'm not paying that money for that movie. Fuck Matt.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to go to the movies on weekends, then Christmas is canceled. That's how that works. Or we go to the movies on Tuesday.
Oh man.
Oh, that's the best way.
Well, speaking of cheap movie night, though, my wife and I actually did go pay real money for real tickets this summer, and we watched Ballerina.
Yes, one of us on the list. Did you like it?
You know what I did? It's not the best out there, but if I were to rate it, I'd give it a solid 7.
That's what I ended up giving it. I was like, this is a good solid 7.
Yeah.
Fun movie, a lot of great action. Great to have Keanu Reeves back. You had a really good villain. So pleasantly, it was one of the best movies of the summer for me. Thoroughly enjoyed.
Wow, that good, huh?
Yeah, in fact, the only complaint I really had through the whole movie is that they did the flamethrower stuff way too long. I was getting really tired of the flames. I was just like, let's wrap this. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get back to bullets. Yeah. It's like, I have to go use the bathroom. I get back. And it's like, oh, they're still trying to burn each other.
It did go on a little too much. Yeah. But again, for a movie, inside the John Wick universe, I mean, it was great. You know what it reminds me of? It reminded me a lot of like Atomic Blonde, just not with a good soundtrack. Which I rewatched that the other day because it was on Amazon Prime.
I didn't hate Atomic Blonde either. Like, I don't know. I think people are really too harsh on action movies. I don't get it.
If you're entertained by an action movie, then it doesn't matter. I mean, then you got your money's worth. So there's a lot of action movies that, we will go back and watch. I mean, think about all the action movies from the 80s, which, we got to do a podcast about, the best action movies of the 80s.
The movies
good
that
Lord.
made me.
Yeah, exactly. Is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando really that great of a movie overall? No.
No.
Is it a fucking fun movie, as with some great one-liners where he just kicks everybody's ass? Yes.
Remember, Sully, when I told you I'd kill you last? Yeah, you did. I lied.
Hey,
any movie that inspires a parody movie like Hot Shots has to be worth watching.
exactly.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, what movie didn't inspire hot shots from the 80s, for God's sakes? Pretty much all of them.
Hey, one of my favorite, great action movies from the 80s. That is just, it's fun every time I watch it. Tango and Cash.
Oh, yes. It's that one movie's like in my top 50, like always going to be in my library.
Dude, just Sylvester Stallone playing the serious straight guy, in that movie is the nerdy it with his little pea shooter. It's like, but you're Rambo. We expect like a.
And he actually says Rambo is a pussy in that. I'm like, well, okay.
And again, my favorite scene then is when Kirk Douglas is having to, not Kirk Douglas, Kurt Russell is having to escape, and he escapes the dragon just the way he goes around and blows a kiss.
The only more hideous thing that I've seen in drag is Willem Dafoe in the Boondock Saints. That was
my God, I still love
frightening scene in drag in recent memory.
But
okay, I did a Boondock Saints like quote the other day, and no one
Body got it
because I literally went, and there was a firefight, and no one around the table got the reference, and I was seriously disappointed in humanity.
I feel like this is where I feel like Brendan is right, that around St. Patrick's Day with inflatable movie screens, like you got to do it back to back. Good. Just drink Guinness and watch great action movies and quote lines. And by the way,
ding dong, motherfucker, ding dong.
By the way, him and I were pretty drunk when we went to go see Boondock Saints 2. We each had a flask of whiskey.
I'm sure it didn't hurt. Yeah, I'm sure it didn't hurt.
We just kept like sharing. It was like, I walked out of there, I was like, wow. do I
can't feel my legs.
Oh, anyway. But like I said, I mean, if you get a good action movie that entertains and you're going to watch again just for the fun of it, then you get your money's worth. And that's kind of how I feel about Ballerina.
Yeah,
so, definitely.
Well, nobody too that we just saw. Okay, yeah. I saw some other reviews, and these people are like, "No one asked for this. It's a mindless gore fest." I'm just like, it's an action movie. What do you want?
Did you not watch the first one?
Exactly. There's no pleasing some people.
Now, there's not a hell of a lot of movies that we asked for. I'm like, did we ask for a remake of The Toxic Avenger? No, but we're getting one.
Hey, I said in my review of Nobody 2, the best part of that movie is Bob Odenkirk, doing what he does best, kicking butt with great one-liners. It's his dry wit and how he comes across. That's awesome. Everybody's great in that movie. And I love Sharon Stone as the psychotic bitch of a villain.
Just completely unhinged.
Right. She was great. I don't know what do you Do you need a Shakespearean Richard III monologue in that movie or something to be satisfied? It's just a pure action movie. That's all it is. It's there to
Well, like
Not
going back to
everything has to be
our
high art.
going back to our action heroes of the 80s. I mean, Stallone and Schwarzenegger could barely talk, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And they carried the decade. So
Yeah.
shut up about the we need no, we don't. No,
What
no, we
was
really
it?
don't.
86 lines in Terminator for Schwarzenegger?
If that. If that, I'm like, but we don't need it, just make shit blow up real nice and pretty and we're good.
Oh my God. I will say this about Schwarzenegger too. Last Action Hero, not really that bad of a movie. It's a fun kind of just making fun of 80s action movies. Sylvester Stallone is the Terminator, just the kind of role reversal. It's like, look, and that's also what has made the Expendables movies so much fun. It's like we're going to take this genre that we've all been apart, turn it on its head, and just make fun mercenary movies.
It's basically Stallone's version of Enchanted, for Christ's sake. Bunch of action stars kicking themselves in the nuts for 2 hours. I'm like, what's not to like?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Last Action Hero is actually one of my favorite movies of the early 90s. Okay. I love that movie. And I always, I love Schwarzenegger and everything. It's like, kid, early 90s, right? The reason that movie tanked, and I remembered it, and I just looked it up. It's because they released it the same time as Schindler's List and Jurassic Park.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it had no chance.
I remember in the teaser trailer it said, Last Action Hero, the big ticket for 93. I'm like, I think Mr. Spielberg might have something to say about that.
Addams Family Value, Tombstone, The Sandlot, The Fugitive, Groundhog Day, A Bronx Tale.
What was the release date of Last Action Hero?
Last Action Hero release date. Let me look it up. Give me 1 second. But all of those movies I just listed were all released in 93.
Right.
All of them.
But despite like summer blockbusters and and how you time a movie where you kind of have the weekend to yourself, Tom Cruise has always been great about how he has timed his movies around Memorial Day. He knocked it out of the park with Top Gun Maverick doing that, especially coming back out of the pandemic.
June 18th of 93 was Last Action Hero.
So you try to drop in the middle of the summer in between all of these movies. It's kind of an afterthought. This is one of those movies that you either have to do it beforehand because it's not going to be as big, or you have to kind of do it towards the tail end of summer. Everything else has come out.
That was the week after Jurassic.
Exactly.
The week after Jurassic. It
No
got
chance.
trounced. Yeah,
No
it
chance.
got trounced.
Yeah, because Jurassic Park was one of those movies that people kept going to see.
I saw it 10 times in the theater in 93. 10.
Really?
Yes, I swear to God. We'd be bored, like there's nothing on TV. Fuck it. We'll just go back to because Jurassic was in theaters for 6 months. 6 months. My birthday's in October. We saw it on my birthday.
Again.
In the theater.
For the 10th time.
Yes.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the list of the movies that were released in 93. 93 was a fucking bang.
It was a beast. It was a beast of a
God.
yeah.
I mean, The Three Musketeers, one of my favorite movies. I mean, like just kids' movies. Rookie of the Year, Three Musketeers, The Secret Garden,
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Homeward Bound. Oh my God. Like, even just as a kid, there were so many bangers. And then you've got Sleepless in Seattle, In the Line of Fire, Coneheads, Hocus Pocus. What's Eating Gilbert Grape came out in 93, and Philadelphia. Like,
oh wow.
What?
I mean,
what?
An iconic epic year for cinema. Yeah. It was
some of these movies for now.
It's really about just bad timing more than anything else.
Yeah.
So like Nobody 2 came out in the perfect time. It wasn't really competing with anything. Except, Weapons is the big horror movie, which we're not going to get into, but so you kind of have enough time for people to watch it, maybe go back and watch it before anything big comes up. That's what August is. It's the tail end. It's some of the small
end of the summer,
before you start getting to fall movies. So, whatever. But yeah, Nobody 2. That's a fun movie. It's worth the price of a movie ticket. If you like the first one, you'll like this one. There's no argument. All right. Speaking of Jurassic Park, one of the big movies of this summer, Jurassic World Rebirth. and we got to dive into it. Was this movie worth seeing in the theater? I mean, if you still haven't seen it, it's on digital now. So, um, my personal opinion, I was not that excited about it. I just kind of ripped it apart because to me, it was just Skull Island, but with dinosaurs. So, I not even Scarlett Johansson could save this movie, in my opinion. Like, it's been there, done that. How many times are we going to keep trying to do, these dinosaurs, monster movies? Aren't we done yet? So, but Chad, you seem to have liked it more than I did.
I did like it more than you did because it wasn't Jurassic Park Dominion, which was complete shit. I like, and I am a Jurassic Park nutbag. I've got like 3 or 4 copies of it on Steelbook to my immediate left over here. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's not one of the best franchises of all time, even though it is a franchise because it's very inconsistent. And like that Dominion was complete dreck, and it's so sad because you basically had your crossover cast. You had your cast from the park films and your cast with the world films colliding. But the one thing that you forgot to put in your dinosaur movie was freaking dinosaurs. You had a bunch of bugs. That was basically it. And I was like, yeah, I guess, right. Like I always say, I felt like Goldblum in the first one. You will have dinosaurs in your dinosaur movie at some point.
Jurassic World, A Bug's Tale.
A Bug's Tale, yeah, A Bug's Life. Jesus, it was
A Bug's Life. That's what it is.
Yeah, and then the one before that, you were talking about all this technology was based around this, Cromwell's granddaughter being cloned. And I'm like, oh God. I was like, God Almighty, Jesus, we have completely lost our
dinosaurs. We can clone human beings.
Right. Now, the one thing that I feel like this film did do is it was a return to form. Like it brought it back on track to what we were wanting to see in the first place.
Sure.
And for that, I will give it credit. I will give it its due credit. They hired the original screenwriter from the first one. The guy, the poor bastard that got eaten in the doorway in The Lost World. That's the screenwriter. The one that got gutted by the Rex rampaging through San Diego in Jurassic Park 2. That's the screenwriter. He came back and he wrote the script for this one. And it was better, but again, it was one of those like, do we really need this movie? Does this movie need to exist? Probably not. But it's like Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. It's like, as long as we can suck some freaking amber out of that freaking, mine, we're going to do it. We're going to keep mining for money.
Okay. I would be okay with Jurassic Park ending as a trilogy with like the third movie. Like it's not as good. Lost Worlds is okay. And then never revisit it. But Jurassic World, like the first movie, I understood why they did that because revisiting in another tech billionaire, well, I can do this better than what the other guy with his money could do. And then it turns out the same. Like, okay, fine. But that should have been the last one. There should have been no reason to go beyond that movie.
You know what? I'll go this far. I think this made a better Jurassic Park 3 than the Jurassic Park 3 that we got.
I mean, I can see that.
I think it would have made more sense for this to have been Jurassic Park 3 than the let's go searching for our kid and meet a Spinosaur and blah blah blah.
Right,
blah.
and
Yeah,
still eggs. I mean,
yeah,
sure, I get that, but I think Jurassic World would have made a better version, of like revisiting it, and then you kind of have these characters, make a cameo or whatever. I just
did you almost get the
blotted
feeling
out Jurassic Park 2?
I mean, I don't hate The Lost World. It felt like to me that they were just trying to make King Kong.
Okay. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I'm not saying that The Lost World is a cinematic masterpiece either.
No.
But out of all the sequels, it's probably the best sequel to the original. Because the original is going to be unmatched. The original, there's no way you're topping that movie.
No.
On wow factor, nostalgia factor.
The other thing too is it's also the only one that's actually based off a book that's very well written. It's one of Michael Crichton's best books.
Because even though he did write the book for The Lost World, it's nowhere near as good as the original novel.
No, but that's like, I mean, he that wasn't that just a publisher cash cow? Like, can you write a sequel because they're going to end up doing a movie, and you can do like the novelization for the movie or whatever. I
I
mean,
don't know if that was a chicken and the egg situation there. I don't know if that was like he had
well,
that manuscript ready to be published because in case Jurassic took off. Because I read that book when I was in the Navy, like a couple of years before the movie was even announced. Like I read that while I was in the Navy. I read
okay,
that
I don't
and
remember
Forrest
when
Gump
the
at the
book
same
came
time.
out, but
And I don't either. Yeah, I don't know if that was just an adaptation of a script or if that was something that he had ready to go. Like if he wrote like both of them back to back. I don't know. I don't know what the situation
to
was.
me, out of the franchise, the only two movies that really kind of make sense is like the first one and then the first Jurassic World, because there's always some rich guy out there that thinks they can do it better than their predecessor, and then everything turns to shit. Like the plot is plausible.
Did you get the feeling that this movie was almost trying to retcon Jurassic World out of the timeline? Because there was really no references to it.
Well, no. They at the beginning they do. I mean, they kind of firmly establish how it is set so many years after Jurassic World, uh, because of how they established the island where they did the overall experiments, and tried to make monsters meat, because they were specifically doing that for the Jurassic World.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. And you had the Bracky keeling over in the freaking by the San Francisco wherever the hell that was, whatever bridge
So
and
here,
body of water they were.
I will also admit as a critic that when I wrote this, I wasn't impressed by my first screening. Now, my opinion may change if I go back and watch this movie again, but I still don't think it's that great. I just we complain so much about movies where you're trying to suck all the mileage out of that you can out of a franchise.
Yeah,
We're going to keep trying to do the same formula over and over and over. Fast and the Furious, and it's like, stop. You
yeah.
can't. Maybe once you can capture lightning in the bottle again, where it's the sequel, unless it's part of an overall story. Okay, which while The Godfather didn't necessarily need to be a trilogy, I still don't hate the third movie and exploring a new generation. Clearly, the Godfather Part 2 is the masterpiece of two stories kind of parallel to one another, just like Empire is clearly the middle chapter of what is this trilogy, okay, and fleshing out these characters. But trying to capture the same magic again, where the sequel is really worthy. How many times do you get to do that? Like John Wick 2, pretty good. Nobody 2, but it's just a straight up action movie. They might be able to get one more out of this franchise now that they've done more with Connie Nielsen's character, before it starts to get to be the same thing. Because it's like the old parody in Tropic Thunder, the Scorcher movies, where they keep talking.
Talk about a movie that
When the
needs a
world,
sequel.
yeah,
That movie needs a sequel. That movie needs a sequel badly.
Oh my God! Unfortunately, I don't think you can. You got away with it just in time, having basically pigmentation blackface on Robert Downey Jr., where people don't went ape shit to where, yeah.
Oh no, I did see somebody. Oh my God, somebody said that because they announced that Deadpool will be showing up in Doomsday,
Right.
and they said if Deadpool doesn't go face to face with Doctor Doom and tell him you're the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude, they have missed a golden opportunity. I'm like, oh my God, that would be a brilliant moment. That theater would explode. That would be brilliant. I'm like, y'all got to do it. You got to do it.
I love Tropic Thunder, and we should literally just do a podcast, like a little mini podcast just on that movie. But the problem is, you can't make that movie again where you have lines like, "Yeah, you never go full retard."
Yeah.
People would get too upset now.
What do you mean, you people? I'm like, ugh.
That theme song is from the Jeffersons. It don't make it untrue. That is
And I think the most meta thing about that entire experience is whenever he says, I don't come out of character until after the DVD commentary.
right.
And he did it on Tropic. If you listen to the DVD commentary, Tropic Thunder, he is in character the whole freaking time.
Right.
Swear to God, I'm like, I've never seen anybody more committed to a role.
No, but you also understand that Tropic Thunder kind of came out before Iron Man, so it was right on the cusp of
Right.
he exploded again. Where you
Mhm.
could get away with him doing that character.
Oh my gosh.
But I look at the Fast and the Furious movies and like you're the Scorcher movies at this point.
I try not to. I've never watched one of those all the way.
And when the world needed him again, he answered. And then they needed a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. And when the sixth time the earth froze over or whatever they're saying, they called on him once more. Ooh, let the fridge open.
God bless Almighty.
It's just a parody on ridiculous action movies that you keep making. And that's how I feel about Jurassic Park. I'm like, you're turning into the Scorcher movies.
All right, the
I
first
wouldn't say it's gotten
Fast
that
and Furious
bad.
was actually decent. It was a decent movie.
Right.
The moment I saw Vin Diesel kick open his car door and kick a torpedo that had been launched at him over solid ice, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, you're done.
What have you become? This is worse than James Bond surfing off a glacier and die another day. I'm like, oh Jesus, you have really lost the friggin' plot. And whenever I asked, I was like, what the hell is this about? And somebody said, it's about family. I said, bullshit. Kicking a torpedo has nothing to do with family. Shut up.
Somebody's still going to have to explain how a bunch of car thieves became super spies.
Exactly. It's just so ludicrous.
When did we go to school for this? Where was the training?
Where was your Spec Ops training done?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a few of the movies that are okay.
Look. If you're going to pick at those threads, though, you're going to start getting questions like, why is it easier to train oil men to be astronauts than astronauts to be oil men? And we don't need that because that is pure cinema.
Yeah.
Very true. And I don't care what anybody says. I still like Armageddon because it's just a fun fucking movie with a lot of great lines. Okay. I mean, it's stupid, but it's entertaining. So
Get off the nuclear weapon. Oh, you didn't see that movie either, huh?
Hey.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah. Is it the better disaster movie of 1998? No.
Between that and Deep Impact? Between that and Deep Impact? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd rather watch Armageddon than Deep Impact.
Really? I like Deep Impact.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hate Deep Impact, but I've seen Armageddon probably a 10 times more than Deep Impact.
I mean, which one has the best Aerosmith song?
Yeah, I'd watch Armageddon 9 times out of 8.
Now we want to have the Volcano versus Dante's Peak conversation. Yeah, that's a different story altogether.
Okay, I'm traumatized by both of those movies, so no.
Yeah. We'll have that conversation some other time.
You know what? If Linda Hamilton can come back for a Terminator movie, I want her to come back.
Oh, Jesus.
And there was another volcano that went off. Harry / Pierce Brosnan was called upon again.
Oh, God. Just don't come back for another King Kong sequel into Hamilton.
Look, I just don't want to see someone's grandma be melted by acid or Drew Carey's brother, not in drag, being melted by lava. I don't need either one of those scenes.
I love John.
Pulled a straight up Gollum, didn't he?
Dude, that was the era. He was Drew Carey's brother. And as a middle class lower middle class white family, we watched Drew Carey and like, dude, he's not marrying Mimi now.
Well, anyway.
Talk about a rabbit hole. Boy, we rabbit holed the shit out of that conversation.
I know. I kind of went off. So, Jurassic World Rebirth.
Back on track.
Is it a movie that's worth seeing in the theaters? Sure, if it's still there. But you know what? To me, it's worth at least the rental that you might be entertained by it. But I can we stop with this? Because you've never been able to completely replicate or make as any of these movies as good as the original, and you never will. Just
I'll answer that. I'll answer that question with a question, Marcus. Did they make their budget back?
um,
Did they make a profit? If they did, no, they're not done.
Well, no, real world math or Hollywood math? Because Hollywood math, they never make a profit.
If I say whatever works for them, whatever can justify another Jurassic, they will find whatever
Look,
reason they can to make another one.
Kevin Smith said it best. He said, look, I make a movie, it costs like, 50 million and it makes like 75 million. They're going to keep asking me to keep making movies because, they don't have to be good.
yeah, and that's kind of what's going on here. So, all right, a couple of other quick movies from the summer. F1, the Brad Pitt racing movie. It's actually got re-released back into IMAX. I didn't think it was a great movie, but it's a very fun racing movie. It's basically shot like Top Gun Maverick. I mean the action.
Same director.
It's brilliant. It's probably the best shot racing movie. I will give it that. I just feel like it was about 30 minutes too long. So and they kept throwing in a lot of racing scenes that I think are unnecessary. But it's a fun racing movie. Unfortunately, any racing movie that comes out now is always going to be put up against one of the best all-time racing movies and just best all-time movies to begin with, Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Days of Thunder.
No. I love Days of Thunder.
I was going to say rubbing is racing. I need that on a t-shirt.
Is it though?
I am not ashamed to say that when I play NASCAR, I did buy a NASCAR game and have a steering wheel that I'm usually quoting Robert Duvall when I'm racing. I'm just saying, it happens. But Ford versus Ferrari is an amazing movie. Great story, great cast, great action, racing sequences and stuff. Doesn't even feel like it's 2.5 hours. And it's just you're doing a racing movie against that. But if you do have a chance to see this movie in theaters, I do encourage people to do it because it's shot specifically so you can enjoy it in theaters.
As a wrinkle to that, I've been doing an awful lot of research on home theater because I'm building a monster screening room in the next room over. Jimmy, you're more than welcome to join us when it gets done. But I've seen a lot of people using, and I've yet to watch this movie. I've seen a little piece of it. I've yet to watch it. A lot of people are using Gran Turismo as a test film to test out their projector and their audio system.
Yeah.
Like apparently that was very well put together. I've yet to watch it, which is weird since it's based on a video game. And I'm normally all over stuff like that.
Great movies.
But a lot of people refer to that as a really great racing film of the last, decade.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's
because I thought that's what you were going to say whenever you said Ford versus Ferrari.
No. I mean, I love Gran Turismo as a movie. I mean, everybody was great in it. Had great action sequences. David Arbor is fantastic in it, and I love the fact that the actual driver was the stunt driver for this movie. So I mean,
the guy the story's based on.
Yeah, he did a lot.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did a lot of the stunt driving.
What? Rather watch Days of Thunder.
Yeah. And you know what about Days of Thunder? There's a sequel in development because Tom Cruise is like, well, Top Gun Maverick was such a success, so of course we've got to come up with a really good story for Top Gun 3. I'm like, I think you should leave it alone, but whatever, let's do it. Days of Thunder, I'm like, you know what? I could see that. Unfortunately, he's just not going to be as good unless you have Robert Duvall.
Well, he's technically still alive, right?
He is, but he's not really acting anymore. So
I just want to see it cross over with F1 so Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise can work together again after Interview with the Vampire.
Well, here's the funny thing is, apparently they were both approached originally for Ford versus Ferrari, but it didn't work out because of the billing and how much screen time each was going to get. So I'm like, that's kind of one where you almost have to build your own kind of racing story where you have these two competitive drivers, and I could actually see because of Brad Pitt's character doing different types of racing, he's only coming back to Formula One in the story, that he could end up in NASCAR going against, Cole Trickle.
Cole Trickle, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd only have to turn left.
One of the greatest comedians made a comment about that, about whenever he heard that they were doing NASCAR on the radio. He goes, "What is the point of they're going left, still
Turn
going
another
left, come back in an hour, you're not going to miss a fucking thing."
Also, brilliant
Dick
idea.
Henley.
You mentioned,
Dick Henley was his name. Dick Henley was the comedian.
you mentioned Interview with a Vampire there, and the fact that they were both, optioned for F1. I think there's still an opportunity to do a crossover interview with a NASCAR driver.
Jesus
And it could
Christ.
just
Christian Slater on board,
exactly.
Lestat is really the race car driver.
Yeah.
NASCAR at night. Oh,
Yeah,
my
just
So
night
we're gonna
races,
move
night
along,
races.
but I'm going to say this: greatest line about turning left in a movie has got to be from Trapped in Paradise with Dana Garvey. What, I'm following the map. It said turn 4 lefts. I turned 4 lefts. 4 lefts. That's a fucking circle. What? Are you sure?
Yeah.
One of
4
the
lefts,
underrated
2
movies
wrongs
of
don't make a right, 4 rights
1994.
make a left. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and watched that movie probably about a year ago. I hadn't seen it in 20 years. And just the comedic genius of Dana Garvey and John Lovitz and Nicolas Cage all playing off one another. That movie is brilliant. So, anyway, speaking of the summer, yeah, hasn't been a great summer. I mean, there's been some good movies, but I don't know if I would say that there's been like a great movie that I would go back to the theater and see multiple times.
Was there have we had our anchor film for summer of 2025?
Well,
But you really didn't get one.
I don't know. Okay, so here's the deal. I went and saw Final Destination Bloodlines, okay? I hated the movie. But apparently everyone else loved it because it has like a 90% score on, like Rotten Tomatoes. Like apparently like all these fans loved it, and I don't get it.
Yeah, is that the fan score or the critic score?
No, both. It's like 99. It's like, seriously.
What an anomaly.
I'm dead serious. It is so because it was like 93 for reviews and 87 for fans.
Wow.
And I'm just like, how?
Did you guys actually? So here's my question to these people reviewing the movie: did you see any of the previous movies, or is this your first introduction into Final Destination? Because like, if this is the first time you've seen a Final Destination movie, then I sort of get how you're enthralled with this concept. But
Look, dude, even the NPR review, because I was so flabbergasted. I was like, the hell, what are these people smoking? Okay, maybe like they just passed around, the summer crack pipe, and like they all really enjoyed it. No, even NPR was like, it still works. What?
Okay.
I mean, I know your funding got cut, but I'm disappointed.
yeah, I mean, did you give that movie a good review because somebody promised they'd help restore your funding? I mean, is that how they bribed you?
Oh, man.
I understand that the way this industry has changed, that top tier critics have to be Rotten Tomatoes approved and all this other. And we argue about this bullshit all the time, but I honestly feel like that website and their algorithms and just how it all comes along, I'm like, I don't think you're actually seeing true reviews. If it goes against whatever narrative they want as a for their marketing against a movie, and I know for sure that sometimes my reviews do not get sent to studios because I've trashed the movie, and I'm like, I call it out like I see it. You didn't make a movie. You wasted your money.
I mean, on this topic, I was going to bring this up during the Superman stuff. There was a bunch of buzz going around that the studios got kind of caught paying for reviews to boost Superman's ratings. because it started out like the first couple of weeks, it was like in the high 90s, and then like after that news came out, it like dipped
Yeah.
to into the eight, which is honestly kind of where it belongs, is in the 80s. And but that's not even that bad. I don't even know why they had to buy like why they. And this is not the first time they've done it. They've Time
The
Warner's done
reason
it
they do it
many
is
times.
because DC has to have a win with a superhero movie. They have to be able. They've given James Gunn so much, power and everything that he needs to be able to beat Marvel. I mean, it's like stealing the best pitcher from a baseball team so you can win the World Series at the trade deadline. That you're going to probably end up facing that team, in the playoffs or the series anyway. With Marvel not having, that many good movies since Endgame, of course, but you can't take any chances. You've got to boost the ratings. You've got to somehow, if critics are calling it out about what it is, especially with superhero fatigue, okay, then DC is fucked. Like they have to have a victory. So yeah, you're going to cheat to get that victory. You're going to gerrymander your reviews. And for you fans out there that don't know what that is, yes, that's an appropriate term to how they do reviews. And I get emails before. I'm just like, yeah, you didn't really like this movie. It's like, no, I'm a critic. That's my job, is to call out movies. But I also didn't say this movie was bad. I gave it a 6. I was just like, it's an adequate film. It's not great. Okay. And stop thinking that it is.
Yeah, I can be a critic and still be a fan of film. Those things are not mutually exclusive to each other.
Will I watch this movie again? Sure. But, there's nothing wrong with saying that it's an okay film that you'll maybe watch again. But that doesn't mean that you can't be excited for the larger universe.
And to my point that I brought up with Final Destination, the I Know What You Did Last Summer rehash,
Yeah.
It got a 37. How in the world is that movie at least not in the same place? They're like the same movie.
In the same wheelhouse, yeah.
And, I mean, like, yes, it's two different, movies, and I get but whatever. It's like, come on. It's basically the same thing. They did the exact same thing. They just rehashed two different IPs to grab some money. It, I'm not understanding the metrics here.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like Rotten Tomatoes. And I hate it even worse that, to be considered, important critics for studios, that you have to be a part of it. And I'm like, no, our audience, our numbers should be the judge. But this is what critics, like Jimmy and I face being part of a professional critics association. Like, well, we got to keep you on the outside. You know what? For being honest. So you want to fuck up your metrics to make you seem like this is important. I mean, if you want, here's the perfect example of how your metrics are so fucked up. Okay, The Alkaline.
Oh God.
There is no greater disparage between critics and audience scores on this. And here's the thing: the critics score, I'm assuming, on Superman is better than what the audience is, but they're still kind of high. The audience score is probably going to come down a little bit because you're going to get a lot more people talking about this movie that it's not great, but it's still fun. Whereas you have to have the critics, no, it's the greatest. James Gunn has done it. And, it's like, do you want to orgasm all over his face when you're talking about his movie, or do that in private? What are you doing? But again, The Alkaline, I think the audience got it right. The fans are like, this is not good. Okay. And the critics, don't tell me that those reviews were not bought off or influenced in any way by Disney.
Oh, no. Disney has been well known to be doing that for a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? If you want the greatest indictment about the industry, when studios can't rely on their critics to be honest about their films, and they have to go to the influencers to pump out marketing lines to their social media audience. Yeah, Then it's
Lost the
They
plot.
prefer the influencers anyway because the thing is, influencers for the most part they only talk in hyperbole. They don't do any analysis. They don't do any thinking beyond
right.
whatever the superlative that they can spit out is going to be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's
They
absolutely,
speak in taglines.
yeah, and that's fine. I mean, honestly, at the same point, all you're doing is just sending out marketing releases from the studio to be able to get some free stuff. You're being bribed. Good for you. So, I mean, it's
You've compromised your integrity as a journalist
Yeah.
and as a critic. Yeah.
right. And in
Hope you're proud of yourself.
I get this argument all the time. Well, they should be considered journal. No, they shouldn't be. They're not at all journalists.
Mm-mm.
They
Not
are
if they're
lucky-
not if they're not willing to be honest about it.
Yeah, you're
Well-
lucky. You're lucky enough to have a large audience, but what do you really do with it? I mean, how are you making the world a better place, or being honest about stuff? Again, you can criticize a movie and say that it's not great but okay, and still say I had fun watching this movie.
Yeah.
Armageddon.
Not every
Great
movie is a
example.
sacred cow. Not every movie is a sacred cow.
Hey, if I'm going to be a critic about Armageddon, even after all these years, that movie's a 6 at best.
Okay.
But it's still a fun movie.
It's still entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this summer, since we're talking about movies from the summer, the latest Karate Kid movie. Okay,
Yeah.
you know how I felt about it.
We
It's
all
not
gave
my
it the same
favorite.
grade. Yeah, it's a 6. Yeah.
But what did I say? I said, you know what? My kids will like it.
Yeah.
You know what? I have 3 kids. That should be high praise. I'm willing to spend 4 tickets on this.
Right. And you know what? I watched it again. Still don't feel any different about it, but I had fun watching it. Okay. Is it Cobra Kai level, writing? No. Okay. It's like it's Karate Kid Part 3 writing, and that's okay. All right. Is it better than Karate Kid Part 4? Yes.
Which I still feel like they're trying to figure out a way to still keep that in the universe, so they don't have to give all that sweet China money back
Right.
that they took.
Yeah. But you know what? It just be okay. Except the fact that some movies are just okay. Former critic Alex Moore, him and I had this discussion about Cocaine Bear a few years ago. That movie's a stupid movie, okay? And they obviously overly embellished what really happened. It's a funny premise. It's a great little horror kind of slasher film. The cast is great in it, but it's a dumb movie. I'm not going to sit there and say it's an 8 or a 9 or whatever worth watching, but I've watched it a couple of times and I don't get bored with it.
You know what I always compare that one to? Lake Placid.
Yes. Another fun kind of stupid movie.
Don't you say a bad word about Lake Placid.
I've got nothing bad to
I'll
say
fight you.
about Lake Placid. Trust me, I have nothing bad to say about it. It's such a ridiculous premise, but for some crazy unknown reason, it works, and it is enjoyable from start to finish. And it's one of the things I always remember Betty White.
Yeah.
I will always remember Betty White for her. If
Yeah.
I had to dig this.
Now, we got one last thing that we're going to talk about as we start to wrap up this podcast. But again, looking back at the summer, we never really got the big movie. It's not Top Gun Maverick level where we're going to go see it multiple times. And hopefully next year, we'll get some better movies. I mean, here's hoping to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I already know that'll be a fairly decent Star Wars movie because it's definitely got to be better than The Rise of Skywalker.
Maybe, hopefully, we're past the blaming the writer's strike era. By next year.
Yes, maybe you're just shitty writers who don't understand the sandbox you're writing in. So, but if there is one movie that truly defines summer blockbuster that critics and fans and everybody can agree is one of the greatest movies of cinema, that is a movie that absolutely should be seen on the big screen once in your life, it is Jaws. And this year we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the movie. Came out June 20th, 1975. And for such a problematic shoot with the mechanical shark not working to how they had to change how the movie was shot and the story itself. Um, this is one of those things where if you're going to talk about analysis, really analyzing movies and why it works, and we're going to get into that, this is something for influencers to take note about why it's almost the perfect movie between action, emotion, and comedy. And for 2 hours, there you don't feel lost or bored with this movie at all. So yeah, we definitely got to talk about the 50th anniversary of Jaws. So I'm going to start it this way, Chad, because you're the older person who was actually alive when the movie came out and all that. I know you wrote an article, and as we're finishing out our summer edition of the magazine, the experience of seeing it at a classic movie theater like the Inwood Theater in Dallas, and just how did this movie become one of your all-time favorite movies?
Well, speaking of films that I buy every time they do a physical release of it, and this was a bitch to find, by the way. Um, it is the film that made me fall in love with film. It's the movie that I didn't know I needed in my life at such a young age, and and you and I have discussed this at length before. It was the movie that I didn't realize that I was revisiting my old stomping grounds of where I saw it until I went back 24 years later and saw the Blair Witch Project in the same theater, and
Right.
that memory came. I'm like, holy shit, this is where I saw Jaws when I was 5, and I there we have such a strong connection as a town, Dallas does, with this film because this is the town where Spielberg test screened it.
Yeah.
At the Medallion Theater, which no longer exists. But if you know the area, it's right over there off of um, Northwest and Abrams, I want to say.
Oh, Skillman and Abrams.
Stillman and Abrams. Yeah, it's a Coles is sitting there now. But if you've ever seen the old the original Laurent Boudreau documentary that was on the laser disc of Jaws, whenever they talk about the screening that they went to where Dreyfuss comes and jumps on Roy Scheider's back and shouting, Spielberg did it, he did it, he did it. And he's like, yeah, he did, he did, he did. That happened here. It happened in Dallas. Yeah. And I saw this thing opening weekend in 1975. Like just started going to elementary school. It was my kindergarten year, for God's sakes. And I mentioned in the article that I wrote for the magazine that like I'd already become obsessed with oceanography when I was watching Jacques Cousteau on our PBS station locally, and that's what got me obsessed with sharks. And like I had the beach towel that was basically the Castell poster art, and I was obsessed with the movie before I even saw it. Then I saw it, and I couldn't get it out of my head. It's one of the most glorious pieces of it. It feels like two different movies. Like it starts off like almost like a slasher film, like a horror film.
Yeah.
And then it becomes this stupendous adventure film at sea, with these three guys that form this bond that it comes and goes pretty fast. But it is so unmistakably Spielbergian, in this being he was like a fledgling director who pretty much had the rug pulled out from underneath him, or was on the verge of having the rug pulled out from underneath him because it was going over budget, over schedule, but he pulled the damn thing off. And it is a master class. In fact, the book that Carl Gottlieb wrote, the companion piece that's called The Jaws Log, is considered a Bible by modern day filmmakers. Like they use the Jaws Log as a how-to instruction manual for how to shoot a film.
Yeah.
It is like the definitive companion piece, even more so than Benchley's source material. The Jaws Log, that was just how that movie got made, has become a standard by all filmmakers today.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, I don't even know if you can truly classify it as a horror film. I don't really consider it a horror film. I know it starts out that way, and this is the brilliance when you're of the movie and how you're analyzing it. I do consider it more of an adventure movie. You can look at it as it's a modern take on, Moby Dick, because, Captain Quint is Ahab. All right, but instead of a whale, it's a shark. And there's so much going on within this movie. But the horror elements have to be, are there because of how they had to shoot it with the mechanical shark not working.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't shoot these scenes that you wanted at the beginning or whatever you had. And then it turns into something different by, okay, this is not working. How are we going to change the tone of the movie? What are we going to do to get this thing done? We change the tone by heightening the fear and the intensity because you don't see the shark until almost the end. You see bits and pieces. You see a fin. You see, blood. I mean, the scene where the Alex Kittner kid gets swallowed up. I mean, it's just him being rolled over and all the blood coming up, but you don't see the shark. You just see the scene.
And you hear the kid getting devoured, which is one of the most unsettling things I've ever experienced in this. And when you hear this kid, gargling under the water, just like, oh dear Lord, it's so unsettling.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's like the scream at the beginning of the movie where she's being pulled down and she's whatever, and then that's it. And then I mean, I think it's a masterpiece in how you shoot a movie. And I was talking with a young filmmaker about his first film that didn't get into film festivals. I'm like, look, how you shot the film is brilliant. Your story sucks because you're trying to do it as a documentary and you're not interesting. But if you changed it to a narrative about a young filmmaker trying to, live life post-pandemic, figure out what he's going to do and shoot a film where the world is changing, and you do it as a fictional narrative, it becomes a better story. But your shots are great. Your shots are what changes how the film is going to be perceived. And that's what they did with Jaws. I mean, again, it's just all of these little moments that build and build and build, until you get that one fucking iconic scene in the movie with the first time you see the shark. You're going to need a bigger boat when it just pops out. And then you see them just circling the boat and they're trying to measure it or figure out the size. And so, yeah.
3 tons of.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Beyond that too, I mean, okay. I don't know if y'all remember, but when I was messaging in the group chat, when I was watching that movie, some of the best writing in a horror movie of all time is in this movie. This movie was so many different things. The monologue about the USS Indianapolis is the number one monologue for any movie I ever watched. If I ever say, is there a monologue that will give you chills and actually is just so fantastic, it's that one. Beyond any other movie.
How many?
And it took 3 writers to crack that thing too.
Well, no. There were 2 who did it, but there was one who nailed it and cracked it, and that's John Milius.
And that's it went through Sackler's hands, then it went through Milius, and then it landed in Robert Shaw's lap.
Well, he took Milius's writing, which was all great, and then he cut it down to what he could memorize.
And to me, the thing that always sticks out to me in the backstory of that was, I remember when they interviewed Benchley for one of the documentaries, and he said that his housekeeper, after she saw the film, asked to have the day off because her son had died on the Indianapolis, and she was never told how he died, and she didn't know until she went and saw Jaws.
Yeah, because a lot of that still hadn't been classified.
Right, it had just recently been declassified, and that's how they were able to use it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I compare him to the Ahab character. It's just the stories of the sharks getting them.
Like, now you get it. Now you know why he hates them.
Jesus Christ, why? Yeah.
To my point, though, Jaws is so many things, and so Spielberg is such an interesting director to me, just because he took a genre that's kind of a throwaway genre. Horror movies, look, there's great horror movies. There are horror movies that we all love. But as a genre, I think we all have to admit there's a lot of bullshit out there that calls itself a horror movie.
Right.
And Spielberg is one of the, what I would say, very rare directors, which is why he's one of the greatest of all time, that took a genre, not once, not twice, at least 3 different times, and made absolute masterpieces in Jaws, Poltergeist, and Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
All 3 are horror movies, and he did it. And no one says, that's a horror movie. No, they just say that's a good fucking movie.
It's a Spielberg film. It's almost got its own classification.
Exactly.
Well,
He transcends every genre that he touches.
I love people that always question, always ask, when it comes to Jaws 2, it doesn't feel like the first. Well, Spielberg didn't direct it, but he did make a sequel to Jaws. Really? Yeah, it's called Jurassic Park.
It's called Jurassic Park, yeah.
Because it's literally the same intensity. I mean, just even the way they do the dinosaurs, okay? It's where you barely kind of see it, or I mean, the most brilliant shot of that is just the T-Rex chasing them, and you're seeing it through the little rearview mirror. Objects in the rear
mirror,
up here.
And Laura Dern screaming her ass off, going shit.
Speaking of monologues, you talk about that being one of the greatest monologues, and you're right. It kind of sets the stage as a non-Shakespearean but Shakespearean-like monologue that makes you understand the character. How many great monologues have been modeled off of that since 1975?
All of them?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, that where people have won Oscars or been nominated. Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lambs, multiple times. Okay. My one that I feel like is literally a direct ripoff. For all of Kevin Costner's faults, he still knows how to make a good Western, and Open Range is a near perfect Western. Great movie. But when they're lying in the dark and he's telling his history to Robert Duvall's character about coming out West, about, having a talent to shoot, and they were looking for people with that, that could do that kind of work. That's brilliant. He also kind of recaptures that in Highwaymen when he's explaining the story about he was going to go into seminary, but then the guy hires him to kill whoever, and he almost dies, and he comes back, and he has that whole thing with Clyde's father. You're literally ripping it off, okay, and making it work from one of the greatest monologues in a movie. And I say that lovingly because as I'm working on a screenplay and I'm having the main character who has to tell this horrific story, that's all I think about is I'm thinking, what is the tone of Robert Shaw in that movie while he's explaining this? That's the tone I'm looking for because it's so emotional and it conveys everything that needs to be said about this character. It humanizes the character. And it makes sense of what they're all battling.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, how many horror movies have that? Where it's not just, blood and guts and quick deaths and stuff like that.
How many horror movies even really surprise you? And I'm not talking about jump scares.
Yeah.
Jaws is one of those movies that literally changed a generation of people. People are afraid to swim because of that movie. There are Gen Xers out there who are literally afraid to go in the ocean because of that movie.
I remember swimming in Lake Michigan after finally seeing Jaws for the first time and not wanting to go in on the beach. And my father, it's fresh water. Sharks are not here. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure.
The alligators ate them all.
Yeah, I'm like questioning my father and his knowledge and science because of Jaws as a 10-year-old kid.
Well, and like I mentioned in the article, whenever I was taken to that screening by my aunt and uncle, and of course I'm dead ass tired by the time we leave the Inwood, because they lived over in off of Ferguson and Joaquin.
Yeah.
And it's like 10:30, and here my 5-year-old ass is exhausted, and they bring me back and they lay me down on their waterbed. You never saw a 5-year-old wake up and get up so fast and sleep on the floor for the night. I'm like, nope, not sleeping on that waterbed. I'm not. I don't want to get anywhere near water.
Right. But I mean, we just looking at that movie, and again, I say lovingly that this is a movie that has to be experienced on the big screen. I mean, I remember the first time that I saw it, and ironically, it was at the Inwood Theater, and it was the first time they ever did a midnight screening of Jaws on an original 35 millimeter print. And it was during the summer. Brendan was there with me and another friend of ours and a guy we met. And we're sitting there on a couch, and line is out the door because it's summer, and you have all these young kids who have never seen the movie before. That's their first experience. And we're sitting in front and behind, groups of teenagers who have never seen it, and they're just screaming and all this stuff. And it was great.
And you just lean back, it's still got it. It can
Yeah.
still get that reaction.
Yeah. But I mean, pacing. It's not too long. It's not too short. The characters are relatable. There's humor. There's Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Schneider going at it, during the drunk scene at the dinner table and going out of the boat, and Robert Shaw. I think modern day movie audiences don't realize all of the other great stuff that he did. Like, hey, I loved him in Force 10 from Nirvana with Harrison Ford. That World War II movie that they did like in 1978 when Ford was in between the Star Wars movie shooting.
Navarone.
Yeah, Navarone. Sorry. Yeah, Force 10 from Navarone. It's the sequel to the original.
The Guns of Navarone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also got Carl Weathers in it. So, anyway, we do have to wrap this up. I mean, but we wanted to talk a little bit about Jaws and why this is almost, the perfect movie that everybody should experience. The sequels, not so much. And
the less said, the better.
Right. I mean, but you get everything you need in this movie.
And you're getting a chance to see it in theaters again, in 2 weeks?
Right. They've been doing screenings all summer, but Fandango has got screenings that are coming out. So at the time of this recording, you still have time to get tickets. If you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you want to see it at a cool classic theater, the Texas Theater will be showing it again. But this is a movie that keeps coming back around, and I know it's been seen multiple times at midnight movies across. But if you're lucky enough to do the water screenings where you're on a raft and there are divers, grab your
no, thank you. No.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of
out.
like that.
I'm out on that.
Yeah. Real quick, Jimmy, have you ever seen it on the big screen?
Yes.
Okay. When was
twice? Yes, twice. They do summer classics at the movie tavern.
Okay.
And they've done it a few times over there.
Okay. So, what was your first experience like seeing it on the big screen?
For the big screen, I mean, honestly, it's kind of like a love affair that you keep coming back to. I've always loved it, and it's just one of those that is just a great experience. And yeah.
I agree. I absolutely agree about that. But yeah, it is the first summer blockbuster. I mean, everybody thinks Star Wars is, but no, this is the movie that started it all. And I mean, it doesn't, get much better. It's just one of those that anytime I feel like you can watch and stuff like that. And then again, if you really want the sequel to Jaws, you don't need to watch Jaws 2, just watch Jurassic Park.
Exactly.
Jaws 3D.
Shut up.
If you want a really fun bad movie, sure. With god awful 80s 3D. Didn't they do like a 4K remaster of that movie?
They've done a 4K remaster of all of them.
Okay.
Even Revenge.
You know what? I'm actually curious about what the 4K remaster would be of Jaws 3D.
You can't polish a turd.
Chad's review of the 4K.
What more do you need to say?
All right. So there you have it about this year's summer movies. Well, here's hoping that next summer we'll get some better iconic movies that we go back and see more than once. But this year it's like, okay. Most of them are wait to rent them or they hit a streaming service like Disney Plus where you can watch it for free. So very lackluster. But again, if you do have a chance to see Jaws on the big screen and you never have, that is the movie ticket that you should absolutely buy. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks with some special topics. Our next podcast will be about sci-fi movies that have transcended the genre. Sci-fi movies that everybody should watch and why they made such a huge impact on the genre. Other than Star Wars. Star Wars is
And also why we're going to be talking about the movie Alien.
exactly.